Dieting for me is the most difficult part when it comes to losing weight. When I first started losing weight, I was more than happy to do any sort of exercise that would help me lose weight, but when it comes to dieting, I was absolutely clueless. So here's a list of things I ate on a daily basis to help me lose 160 pounds. With the first change being to convert to lower calorie sources while not strictly food, it definitely can go a long way, and for me it's one of the best dieting hacks you can incorporate straight away. So let's take for example mayonnaise. For its normal calorie amount, it can be nearly 100 calories per 15 grams, but if you compare that to the light alternative, it's only 15 calories per 15 grams. So as you can see, that's an absolutely massive change, and it will save you hundreds of calories in the long run. You're also not losing out on taste because it's exactly the same product, but one's just lighter in calories compared to the other one. And so you're not missing out on that. And it's just a good conversion you can do straight away without even noticing it. With that as well, 1 calorie oil spray compared to normal oil is definitely going to go a long way as well. So small little changes like this into your diet is definitely going to go a long way and save you hundreds of calories per day. The next lot of food I'll eat on a daily basis would be whole food proteins, so stuff like 5% lean mince, chicken breast, eggs, low fat cheese, chicken sausages, bacon medallions, all these sort of things, 0% Greek yogurt. All these things on a daily basis I would eat because they're a lot lower in calories compared to their fully caloried counterparts. They also just taste just as nice, so I'm not restricting myself, and also they're versatile and you can have them in many meals that you want. And also with that, protein is the most satiating macronutrient, making it help keeps you more full for longer. It also retains muscle mass, but also it builds muscle mass if you're someone that's lifting weights along with losing weight. So it's also very important to have a high protein diet. Also with protein, it burns the most amount of calories when it's digesting. Once you've had that food and it's all got to break down into your stomach and all that, it burns the most amount of calories during the digestive phase. And the way to find out if a food is good in protein or not is by to take the total amount of calories of that food and compare it to its protein ratio. So let's say for example you have a food that's 200 calories and it's 20 grams of protein. That's a good ratio of calories to protein, versus if you have something that's 200 calories and only 8 grams of protein, and that's not going to be the best amount of use for your calories to get the amount of protein you want. So there's something to keep in mind when you are picking a good protein source. The next thing I'd incorporate into my diet would be 0-calorie drinks. This is obviously an amazing alternative to the fully calorie option. So stuff like Pepsi Maxes and Diet Cokes. These drinks are absolutely great compared to their normal calorie counterparts because once again, you're not losing out on taste. They're easy to incorporate straight away into a diet without even noticing you're doing it. And you're going to save yourself hundreds of calories. And also with that, the caffeine within these drinks can potentially help suppress your appetite. So something else just to keep in mind, converting from normal calorie drinks to the 0-calorie options is going to go a massive way. And also with that, make sure to drink plenty of water per day, just in general, especially when you are losing weight. Maybe aim to hit at least 2 to 3 litres per day and have plenty with your meals and stuff. This is because water helps expand your stomach out and helps fill it up to make you think in your mind that you're a lot more fuller than what you are. So having a lot of water is going to help keep you more full as it's expanding your stomach. So important to have a lot of water on a daily basis, just in general, but especially when you are losing weight as well. You'll definitely notice a difference. Another whole foods recommendations I'd give would be to have plenty of fruits and vegetables on a daily basis, mainly because these foods are high in fibre, which helps keep you more fuller for longer as it takes longer to digest. Also, typically these foods have a small amount of calories but a high amount of volume of them, so you're getting more for less. So it's definitely important to incorporate these sort of foods, so stuff like cucumbers, strawberries, apples, raspberries, things like that. They can help bulk out your meals for not a lot more calories extra, which obviously can help keep you more full. So an example meal you can make out of this would be 0% Greek yogurt, as we said earlier, is good for protein, and also the 300 grams worth of strawberries, which ain't going to be a lot of calories, but it's going to help bulk out that meal, make it taste just as nice. So you get a lot of protein there and a good fibre source as well for not a lot of calories, which is going to help keep you more full, especially to something compared to like cereal, for example. So switching to these sort of alternatives are definitely going to go a long way. And also with that, don't buy into this absolute myth that all sugar's bad, even stuff that comes from like fruits and all that. It's a complete load of bollocks, it's spouted by idiots. I mean, no one was looking at 19-year-old me and thinking, I'll tell you what, I think he's just eating one too many grapes and apples, and that's the reason why he looks the way he does. So yeah, don't buy into the myth that all sugar's bad. It's definitely stuff that comes from fruits, because also fruits have a lot of vitamins in them that are also healthy and helps give you a well-balanced diet. So yeah, don't buy into the myth that all sugar's bad. The next food I'd have on a daily basis to help me lose 160 pounds would be bread, which I know is a bigger sin than finding out a priest has a VPN to get on all the websites you can't at the moment because of the Online Safety Act. Well, that's what people want you to believe, but the reality is weight loss will always come down to calories in versus calories out, and however you get to there is completely up to you. So stuff like bread, stuff like pasta, stuff like rice, wraps, all these sort of things are completely fine to have, and stuff I usually have on a daily basis that helps me lose weight and have a balanced diet and one I actually enjoy eating. So yeah, bread is completely fine to have. Once again, it's all like the sugars thing with the fruit. Don't buy into these condescending myths that absolutely are meaningless and empty, because I fell for these traps and it put me into quite a negative eating cycle of being fearful of food, which we definitely don't want to have. So yeah, bread is completely fine to have on a daily basis if you want to lose weight. The next food I'd incorporate into my diet would be potatoes, just because potatoes have the highest level of satiety on the satiety index, meaning it just keeps you more full and more satisfied after you've eaten it. And also with potatoes, they're pretty low in calories, so once again you can have quite a high volume amount of them for not a lot of calories in return to help once again bulk out your meals. They're also versatile, you can have them with other meals and stuff like that. So yeah, potatoes are a great option when it comes to losing weight. And the final thing I'll go over is low calorie snacks. So for example, popcorn, either microwaved or just directly from the packets. They're typically quite low in calories, you can get a decent amount of them, and it's just better to have rather than normal crisp or chocolate. As once I said, you're going to get a lot more volume for them for a lot less calories. So yeah, popcorn's a great option. Also with that 10 calorie Jello pots, I think they're called, something you can have in between meals if you're feeling a little bit peckish, and you know they're only 10 calories, so it's not a lot. And finally, you can have low calorie ice cream options. I think it's called Halo Top ice cream. I mean, it's bloody expensive. You probably have to draw out your nan's inheritance money to buy a couple of pots of it, but if you want it for a dessert, it's always going to be there, and once again very much low in calories compared to normal ice cream. So they're all the foods I would eat on a daily basis that will help me lose 160 pounds. Now I'm going to go over some of the things that might not be ideal when you are losing weight. So now I'm going to go over some of the things that might not be too ideal when you are trying to lose weight. I'm not saying these foods are bad or anything like that. I'm just saying these foods are quite high in calorie dense, and people might not be fully aware just how high in calories they are, because they are labelled as being healthy. And people automatically think if you eat healthy foods, you're automatically going to lose weight. So I've got them down here just in case I do forget. With the first one being nuts. Nuts are quite high, they're very high in calorie dense. You can only get a small handful of them, and it can be hundreds of calories just like that gone. So yeah, there's something to keep in mind, not saying they're bad or anything, but they are very high in calories. The next one being dried fruits, a lot more calories compared to the normal fruit counterparts that we already went through earlier. Yeah, dried fruits are very high in calories and something to probably stay away from, and to stick with normal fruits and vegetables. The next being peanut butter. So it can say on the label for peanut butter stuff that 1 teaspoon might be 80 calories, and you have that teaspoon and you eat it and you think that's fine. But if you were to actually weigh that tablespoon out, you might have actually taken 3 tablespoons, so you've tripled your calories. So peanut butter can be something in disguise. It's very high in calories and you're not fully aware of it. Next would be salad dressing. To stick with the salad, you know, the salad's going to be high in fibre, low in calories, but the sauces on top can add hundreds of extra calories put onto it, and something you might not be fully aware of. So salad dressings can be a lot of calories. And also with that, avocados. Avocados are healthy for you. They're good and high in healthy fats, but because they're high in fat, that means they contain a lot of calories, because of 1 gram of fat is equals to 9 calories, compared to something like protein, which is only 4 calories per 1 gram. So that means it's going to be quite high in calories, avocados. Not saying to cut it out. If you enjoy eating it, something you can incorporate and still lose weight, by all means, please still do have it. But I'm just saying it's quite high in calories and people might not be fully aware of that. Then that's all the stuff, actually, and a few more. Protein bars, we already went through the whole protein sources earlier. And when you are losing weight, I'll definitely say to stick with that option first. Protein bars, the risk here, they're bloody candy bars. They're high in sugar and all that, and the protein ratio isn't typically that great. You can have something that's 200 calories in a little protein bar that's already scoffed down, and it's like 10 grams of protein, so it's not really worth having. I'd stay away from protein bars, to be honest. And finally, granola. Once again, something that's labelled as a healthy thing, but something that's very high in calories, and there's something to be aware of. So that's all the things I wanted to go over, and that's all concludes all the foods I would eat on a daily basis to help me lose weight. I've got a diet video on my channel where I did go on the daily routine of what I'll do to lose weight and the foods I'll incorporate. So yeah, and just remember, dieting is always about calories in versus calories out, and however you get to there is like completely up to you, as long as it's healthy and sustainable and something you can do. So yeah, hope the advice in this video was helpful.